can start.
Oh, okay, so now we can start, that's all right.
Carrying on.
Carrying on, yes. So number 42, they've made a payment since the time Tab did this, so that's one. And, you know, it was winter slowness, they're getting caught up. Otherwise, the business is doing well. Number 47 is, this is one that our prior attorney was working on with us, and we have to regroup on that one as well. 59, we thought we had come to an agreement, and he was gonna start making payments, at $500 a month. And then, raise some funds to buy us out at a discount level, of roughly 33,000. So a little, just a touch less than half. And so he didn't make his payment in June, so we're gonna reach back out to him.
That was, he sold our collateral.
He sold our collateral that had a title lien on it. Yeah,
This is the one who we really need to rule his life out if we can.
yes, yes.
So.
84 and 85, those are timing issues, we're working them out, yes, they are behind, but they're paying on a regular schedule and just need to get caught up. And, the primary business. So one owns the property, one is one of the businesses that is located on the property. The entire property is for sale, and they're hoping to clean us out that way. But they're making raised payments, they're still just a little behind, and that's it unless there's questions. And I don't know what you guys thought, but Lindsay and I were going over it today, and Lindsay feels it looks pretty good.
Well, that's good.
What do I know?
Oh, that's right, you were gonna, Tab and I talked about that. And, I told her, oh, so did you notice that the loan report is in the new
Yes.
format
Very
that
good.
was requested?
I was happy.
So we have that, so I
My
told,
eyes aren't happy, but
yes. So
the rest of it.
we focused on that one for this meeting, and we will do our delinquency one starting in July. So yes, thanks for reminding that. Tab and I had that conversation. I wanted to
You're gonna
get
give
more
yourself
stuff.
an extra month, because you're gonna cancel the July meeting and just have one in August.
We can't cancel July.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
I could have done it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I.
We need a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented. Second, Chris, okay. All set. All in favor?
I'm treasurer, you should.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Glenn.
And then staying on the theme of financials, there was the annual audits were included in the board packet. You know, as we briefly discussed beforehand, I thought the audits were both very clean. And unless there's board comment, I didn't really have anything to add to them.
Our compliments to Tab, keeping it clean,
Yes,
doing a good job with it.
yes.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yeah, we should, that you've reviewed it and seen it, yeah. An acknowledgement, you don't have to formally
Yeah.
approve it, yeah.
A motion to state that the board has approved the annual audit.
For the idea.
Sorry, for the IDA. Thank you, Scott.
So move your plan.
Second,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then, do we want to move on to Delhi sewage work?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so, in there I had the year-end financials, for 24 on the profit and loss basis. And then our balance sheet,
Doesn't balance.
what's that?
Balance sheet doesn't balance.
yes, there was a correction I needed to make because, I think. Yes, there was a correction in there that I needed to make and I didn't. Hold on. I was bouncing around too much yesterday from meeting to meeting and I had it right in my mind and I didn't make that last change and I thought I had, so. All right. When someone else is talking, I'll come back with with why that it didn't balance. In my mind, it balances and I know the explanation, I just can't pull it forward. But
So one of my concerns is that your accounts payable exceeds your accounts receivable at the top.
yeah, so that happens a lot, you know, it's a timing situation because. We incur the costs and then we bill the industries. And they
take
don't
funds
always
and-
make timely payment,
Right.
although we have instituted, and one of the reasons, if you discount. Our depreciation expense.
Yeah.
You know,
Going up to 7 grand.
So it's $7 grand profit, and that comes from a couple sources. It's markups on some of the professional services, parts and emergency repairs. And then also late fees. So we are charging late fees for anything past 30
Are they
days,
paying?
and they do pay them.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but so like at the end of the year, this past year, I mean, they owed us for, like, one of the industries owed us for. October, November, December, the other one only owed for December, you know, and so. And they take turns who's gonna be late. So it's just a product of the situation.
So Glenn, you're off, that just did the calc, you're 14,927.10, which is your accounts payable number,
Yes,
is that?
yes, so there was something included in there twice. And it was the accounts payable, why it is in there twice, I'm not sure. But that's why. So per the audit, and this is why I'm confused and I was working on it. So the total assets is the inflated one. Because per our audit, because it also shows up in the IDA audit, that the asset is the total assets is the 532,300. So why that 547 is off by the amount of our accounts payable was where I was struggling. And I thought I had the explanation in my mind yesterday, and then I lost it.
There were some adjustments on the audit that
Yep, I incorporated
You
those
did.
into these, yeah.
didn't seem to clean
Yeah.
up.
Yes, so the total liabilities and equities at 532,300 meet what our audited total assets figure is. And why that's off, I haven't figured out. I had an inkling yesterday and I lost it. Because Lindsay and Soph made me go into a different meeting. Yeah,
We're incredibly busy.
yeah,
So,
And you take incredible to all the blame.
Yeah, absolutely.
but anyway, so really what it is, you know, that's set up as a break even. That's our agreement with the industries, is that we're gonna break even. Now, the markup on some of the things where we go, in my opinion, above and beyond, yep, that's fine. And then the late fees, that's fine. Everything else is billed at cost, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So,
My only concern is that if you're not keeping the vendors happy when you have the next break and need vendor credit to get yourself along, you're on COD.
well, so that's why our accounts payable is always over that, because, you know, we're paying the vendors on a timely basis. So our vendors are not waiting for payment.
Okay,
We're waiting for
because
reimbursement.
we know it'll break at some point, again, somewhat.
Mhm.
All right,
And what are we paying them with? I mean, you've got
well,
$404 in your.
So there is,
and,
yeah, on
I
an,
understand that.
on an emergency basis, we've relied on the IDA.
Okay,
And so
so we've got a
the
transaction.
payable is really why it's exceeding, is that's when we borrowed money from the IDA.
Okay. And that's, so it's payable backwards to the idea of when the dollars are available.
Yes,
Okay. And that's.
and then it's, yeah, and then it's a product of,
that's.
you know, so we
Yeah.
get it, we get it, we pay it. And then in the next billing cycle, I bill for it.
That's what we call payday loans.
Yeah.
Yes, but however, for the most part, there was, when we had the emergency break. This, March.
Yeah.
We needed to borrow from the IDA. Other than that, we haven't been borrowing from the IDA. There is enough, if the industries pay on time, there is around, you know, $10,000 in there that allows us to pay our bills and then, and not be, you know, constantly borrowing money to cover our bills as we wait for payment.
Is there
But when
anything,
they pay extra slow, that's that. And then also some of the reasons, you know, is, the IDA is always the last vendor to get paid. So we bill them $1,200 a month for administrative expenses. If the money's not there to pay electric and our maintenance costs and the IDA is always the one who takes the backseat.
and there's nothing in our bylaws or anything that prohibits loans out of the IDA?
Oh, our auditor cannot. The auditor and the comptroller's office, they have no idea what's right, what we should be doing. They've never seen this before, ever.
Final question. Go ahead.
Go ahead with your final.
No, I was just gonna say, do we wanna wait on this report to approve this report until next month?
So I guess it's in balance. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So while we're waiting to approve that, just a piece of advice, let's get this entity up on its own and running with its own dollars, so that it's not supported by the IDA.
Right.
Because we're gonna go and create another one right now,
Yes,
where we need it to be able to stand on its own. And the back and forth of money is both nightmare for the staff, but also an accounting confusion. And opens us up for a lot of potential.
well, the main confusion on the part of everybody else is why we would even ever do this.
Well,
You mean have the corporation?
yeah,
Why,
My opinion.
why we are in the, transportation. Waste transportation.
why the village hasn't taken this over.
Okay, so,
They didn't wanna have
We
a
love
lot of
that
money.
you didn't get the votes today. Should be their response,
Yeah.
Right, maybe just shut it down.
except
Shut
that
it down.
hurts the two,
That would be.
On the backup,
the two bits.
Yeah, if you do the other, you know. Okay, Glenn, moving on.
okay, moving on.
Economic Development Strategic Plan, if we could.
I'm gonna turn this over to Tyler.
Yeah, so this is my second summer with economic development. Last summer I started working on what was formerly our strategic plan, now it's our action plan, because the county comprehensive plan is called the strategic plan. So this is more of an internal document. I think we're at a point now where we're getting very close to the end and being done with it. Got it to about 7 pages. I think it's some light reading compared to other strategic plans that exist. I got a ton of support from everyone in the office. I think that it largely aligns with the things that the county comprehensive plan is looking to do and what that addressed in like their economic development section. So I think it was uploaded The
It
drive.
was uploaded. Any comments, questions are appreciated because we'd like to wrap this up before Tyler goes to Australia for school next month. So
Fantastic.
And we also have other things we need Tyler to do.
yeah,
Yeah. The only thing I noted, and I know it's an action plan, so it's high level, I get that, lack of quantification in there, I mean, it's kind of, it's generic, and I know it's supposed to be, but. Is there anything that, will the action plan be taken to a lower level with numbers?
In which areas?
Well. Looking at,
So I'm gonna kind of answer your question and then you can. say what
well, let me
you
do
were-
this before you
So
do that.
This, okay, go ahead.
So the only reason I ask is if the action plan, assuming we all agree that that's where we want it to be, could we use the action plan to get down to, strategic objectives?
Yes.
For your team that would be more meaningful? I guess that's what I'm trying to get
Yes,
to.
so one of
Should
the
have more
things that we, and most other ones do it too, so it's not like, so. Each year at our organizational meeting, we haven't met that benchmark, but Sophia's really holding our feet to the fire regarding compliance. Is my thinking is this will inform what staff will present to the board each January as what our goals are for the coming year. And it'll be under these categories, and then the board can decide whether, yes, those are good goals under these categories, or they should be higher, or you're biting off more than you can chew, or whatever. So this would inform our, because we have each year by the comptroller's regs, we're supposed to put out our goals for the year. And most people just punt and put very bland things out there. If we're gonna do, I don't like doing things like that. We can do that and be in compliance, or we can consider it a tool. And so if we're gonna have a strategic plan, which everybody needs to have a strategic plan, even though most of them stop. But, you know, so if we're gonna have one, then we're gonna have one. And if we're gonna have one, we're gonna use it. And we're gonna use it for developing our annual goals that we'll present to the board at our organizational meeting.
Okay.
So that's my thinking moving
Okay.
forward.
And then
So-
where rewards come from reaching your goals. If you have it in general, then that means nothing.
Right,
So we need to dial it in a little bit.
Right.
Well,
During that meeting.
Yes.
during that meeting, we need to, and that's why we've done it in the past. During that meeting, we set strict rule and decide whether they do it or not. That's then how we do other things for it, like no dice.
With some, way. Develop a formal tourism strategy through 2028. You gonna do that in 2028? You do that this year?
we're,
It's gonna be for 2026 through 2028 being developed this year.
Yeah.
Figured a
So
2-year
during
plan.
2025, develop a formal tourism strategy through 2028.
got that?
yeah, but also we, you know, so we did have more specific things in there. And then we are ballooning the document. We just want to keep this short and sweet and move forward from that.
Now, are you looking for approval as amended, or do you just, it's just for our information at this point?
However you want, you can approve it,
I'm
you
not sure what we've done in
can,
the past.
we've never done it.
Oh,
This is the first time in 25 years.
It's unprecedented.
It is unprecedented. It is
I feel
unprecedented
honored to be
for
part of
us to
it.
have a plan that is beyond what rattles around in my brain.
Ed, feel honored.
No, this is not. So we will use this as a tool when we're
The
writing
steering wheel.
grants and in developing our goals. It's not required. It's just kind of trying to implement best practices moving forward.
And it makes us look better. So
Right.
I'll make a motion. we
And
approve
adding
it.
more structure to what we do for when I leave.
When Glenn ages out, you know.
Yes.
Bruce made the motion, do I have a second?
Leslie.
Snarky comment.
Your comments.
Anybody with a second?
I say.
Okay. Everybody's in agreement? Aye,
Good work, Tyler.
good job, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Good luck in, Copperland, I guess.
Will this be your junior year?
Yes.
All right.
Great to use AI to expand on it. I just did it, it's pretty good. Thank you.
We get our patty slapped sometimes for using AI,
Understand.
because Glenn doesn't really believe in it yet, but,
I don't either.
Okay,
he's coming around to it.
based on what we learned yesterday too, we're
Yeah.
maybe considering going with a pro version, so we can
So you-
turn off and save all of the private information and keep that from going back to the hive.
My niece sent me an AI resume. I looked at it and go, no,
Well, AI is not a
90
replacement. It's not a
I
replacement,
understand.
it's a tool for enhancing.
I had more edits on that thing, and I was like, wow, this is not appropriate for a lot of ways, but it's a
There's
tool.
two different
it's a
AIs
tool.
that have-
It's a tool for filler in grants.
I agree.
But you can't just go buy it. You
I
have
know,
to be inspired by it.
Yeah.
Or AI.
It's gotta stay a tool.
So it would be like check,
A lot of tools.
or like, check.
Okay, updates, Glenn, we've got the comptroller audit related to the website
I'm gonna
compliance.
turn that over to Soph.
Sure, so, in early May, I sat down with Alan and right, yes,
Yeah.
PA, sorry. And they gave me 69 action items for website compliance. We have 98.9% of that done, just waiting for a response
I'm
back.
gonna write it down.
So
great.
I just, yeah, it was a big lift. I had Glenn, Tabitha, Lindsay, like everyone's help. We got everything organized.
Yeah, I was ticked off for a week.
There's a folder that's on the iDrive with all of the documents, everything's being updated. We've got agendas going out on time, board packets, everything. So it's looking good. All I'm missing are a couple headshot photos, Glenn. And then
Ed.
so,
I got a
literally,
couple.
everything's looking really good and, we'll continue to keep that updated and work on it, so.
Yes, and there are some things that were on my plate. The policies are drafted and sitting on my computer, but I forgot to include them in the board packet for
Which
this
type of
month.
policies, I'm sorry,
What's that?
which type of policy?
So we need a formal recapture policy, even though we have it embedded within our tax exemption policy. But there's a checklist that says you need a recapture policy, and it doesn't say your recapture policy can be in your tax exemption policy. So we need to,
It's gotta stand on its own.
Yep.
Okay.
and we need an internal controls policy, which I have drafted. I have them both drafted. I just didn't share them. And then, because this makes great sense, we need to change the title of our retaliatory action policy to name it a whistleblower policy, because the form says it needs to say whistleblower, even though whistleblower is to prevent retaliatory actions, and we have a retaliatory action policy.
Good.
But those will be for the next meeting.
Okay.
And I'm very happy to make all those changes.
So outstanding on the website, we've been talking about the website since I've been involved, or maybe you guys have for a long time. That's outstanding. Great.
Yeah.
Good job.
And now when she needs
Big improvements.
all of that for the Delaware County Capital Resource Corporation, she'll be ready to go.
And that'll have its own website.
We're gonna put it on the same page as the IDA page, yes.
But you really shouldn't do much for that.
And 69 items.
It's gotta
Can
have
you-
all that documentation. That's why it's so expensive for corporations.
So can you maybe tell us what the top 3 or 4 were, just quickly, like issues with the website, just out of curiosity?
It wasn't necessarily just. So all 6, it was just documentation being in the right spot where they could readily find it. So it's not that we didn't have everything, it just wasn't in the right place. And in terms of them being able to find it.
Didn't slap them in the face when they opened the page.
Yeah, so I took everything and just made it incredibly obvious.
Everything gets titled separately.
Titled separately, if it's a multi-page document, would have to go into like Adobe PDF document finder and just like put a bookmark, and then that bookmark would take them
Directly.
to that spot. So it was like, okay, procurement officer that lived in the management report, right, that management letter. that wasn't obvious enough, so made it like. For the procurement officer and it just has to be like. Right there, big old sign, 12 arrows pointing here, click this button kind
Yeah.
of.
So it's for their convenience and they had to find something.
Well, it's so some idiot who doesn't understand what they're reading will be able to find it.
Yeah, so, and then, yeah.
That's what I was the majority of it, just.
But that's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah, just the majority of it, and then just organizing the page also, so that it, with all that information, it still looks professional, and then keeping everything that. Your average bear.
Yeah.
Person coming to our website, what they're actually looking for is the application.
Can we subcontract Town of Meredith website?
Absolutely, yes, we bill at $350 an hour.
It is, I know.
One of the hardest.
So is our website.
Certificate for the IDA, Delaware IDA, is you get Pennsylvania.
You do, yeah,
So,
which I've made an effort to update all the SEO to Delaware County, New York,
yeah.
and just. I mean, and
Maybe
that-
we're looking at the wrong side.
yeah, well, I mean, and so, oh, there you go.
But it is better because, you know, there's also Iowa and Indiana and Ohio and like 6 other states have a Delaware County as well, so.
We do.
It's just us and PA fighting for the top spot.
Right, but I think they come in as Delco, so. Anyway.
Yeah. Which is what
Well, outstanding, was good job, that's right. Drop the old estates, Glenn, what do we?
I'm gonna say my piece first.
Oh.
Okay,
I thought the last thing I read, it was all going great and everything's moving.
it is all going great. No, this is fine. So, we're moving forward with the Sheffield Estates. And remember, that is 63 separate parcels. We're recombining and then re-subdividing, into what would be 6, now maybe 7. So the whole issue is the treatment of the town home parcels. Because currently, there's the 4 townhomes, they are postage stamp lots. Through this boundary line adjustment, we are attempting to fix an existing condition and improve it and make them into regular residential lots. However, in order to do that, so basically in that process, we are giving land to the townhomes.
Okay.
So instead of the postage stamp lot, they would have a normal residential lot, side yards, front yards, backyards.
And is there a normal size or?
But, well, we're probably not meeting that, but we're getting closer. We're getting as close.
Sorry.
Moving
Moving
on,
on.
Steve, on the Walton Village Planning Board.
So these things just pop out, I don't know why.
So we're making a bad situation
Better.
better. And so in order to do that boundary line adjustment, we need the property owners of those 4 townhomes to sign off stating that either they don't want any more land or they do want more land. But there's absolutely no reason in the world why they, I mean, there's rational reason, there's no reason in the world compelling them to sign anything.
Right.
And so one woman, I should say, one of the property owners, I understand her positioning, she's got a ward she's looking out for. We are going to address all her concerns. The other one, he's just frankly yanking my chain. And, you know, one day he's a yes, one day he's a no. The next day he wants to buy the lot that the LDC still owns and do the boundary line adjustment. And then he's like, yeah, I wanna see it. I call him, I've been stuck at this point for 3 weeks now. I call him multiple times a week and say, okay, oh, I can't do it this week, well, we'll do it next week. And then I call him 3 times, I can't get a hold of him. And then I call him and he's like, oh yeah, I think I'm interested on, what did we say again? And I'm like, he's just.
Everywhere.
And so we're stuck on that. So at the next meeting, I am, at the present thinking is that we are gonna propose a intermediary solution that would allow us to move for all of this, by the way, is to create a 3.5 acre shovel-ready lot that can accommodate a 24,000 square foot building. We're not changing the world here. We're just trying to minimally move the dial.
Yep.
So we're trying to move forward with that. I'd really like to get going on that, and that's being held up by this other issue. So I'm hoping that we can propose a scenario where we will, the village planning board would allow us to create the shovel-ready lot. We'll still have the remainder lot, so that's two. Then one of the property owners assigned is on board. So that one will be three. That will be a regular residential lot like we initially designed. The other three will remain exactly as they are. Current conditions and the area around their property that they don't own and they haven't decided yes or no whether they want or not will remain IDA ownership exactly as it exists today.
So that'll be part of the BLA.
Yeah, I have to draw it, and I know it would be Chris and Florida wouldn't be able to see it, but I am gonna do that. Lindsay, if you come here, I want you to email Chris and Florida this document that I need to find, and then I'm gonna draw it for the board.
Just print out some copies of it.
Would that be quicker?
Maybe.
Alright, yeah, that would be better. You have it, right? I sent it to you. Okay,
Well, why not, our plan there, are we gonna affect Sheffield on have that on?
no, not at all. No. So Chris and Florida, I'm gonna send you an email right now.
Okay.
You'll have it before the rest of the board will.
Would Sheffield funds consider driving through our property to help exit from there?
If they need it, that we could grant them an access easement if that helps out there. I saw that in the paper, I don't regularly read the paper, so I was waiting in line yesterday, so I did. I've never met that guy, so I need to reach out to him. And
The paper said it had two exits that were not gonna be bird shipping, so they might have it all taken care of, but if we can make the process easier, be beneficial to the community. You're talking about cabins, a restaurant up there, pond access. It's up behind,
About video,
right behind Mount Video.
because he owned that.
No, he owned some land up there, but somebody bought the pond and, the acreage all around.
Okay.
And it's in the 20 acres of it or something, it's in the village, so it qualifies for water, sewer,
So they would access it through, stuff in the states.
well,
Okay.
no, I think the water access and stuff will probably come off the end of Burton Street,
Okay.
because then they don't have to go uphill with it.
Still cross.
But this is a great potential, I mean, you're putting on cabins in, new assessment, there's so much.
Is there that kind of space?
Lindsay, keep me.
Yeah.
Let me stop.
Probably not, if it's not under one side.
It is in my one. Yeah. It won't even attach for.
Never discussed it very well.
Here, I'll hand it over.
No, you figured that out.
I think you're right.
That's an idea.
People say, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe having a high end or not. Yeah.
You've done more than enough.
Maybe.
So you're talking about.
Oh, actually, we don't have enough, sorry.
That much weight. That's not gonna be.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
What file is it?
But if we had a road over
It's
there,
in,
I
oh, you got it?
Well, I just don't know which file it is.
Especially in that word.
You'd never find
Well,
it.
these are a lot for the house.
Right,
So we're talking something here.
This,
Yeah, we're not talking about putting the road all the way.
right,
Where is it?
We're paying for half of that, and like,
that would be an interesting.
you know, and, I think it's too early, they're planning stages. They're planning stages.
This is a bar.
So now it's trying to fill up here, right?
Ideally, yeah, but
Bush hogs.
What was, what, when I left, what?
There's
What we saying, amendments.
I was talking about.
Hit send?
no, I didn't.
There is.
Except for what Hans would like an act.
Oh, sorry.
That's to the conversation.
Okay, so it should show up in a minute or so. All right.
For that.
No, they haven't. But say that they already have two extra channels, so they might not be, but they would make that whole process easier.
Okay.
Most of that's
Well,
gone.
it hurt us.
That's what you should.
I received it.
You got it? Okay. All right, so here we are. So lot one is the shovel ready site.
Yep.
Lot two is privately owned. Lot three is owned by the LDC. Lot four is privately owned. Lot five is privately owned. Those homeowners have agreed to the extra property around their home, and you see it turns it into a residential lot or a regular, more regular residential lot.
Yep.
Our plan was to do the same things for 2, 3, and
And
4.
it picks up the street.
Yes, and it picks up the driveway. It's not.
Sorry, fair enough, sorry,
The driveway.
the path.
And they will all have an access easement through the driveway to get to their respective property. So because we can't come to an agreement yet with 2 and 4, my proposal is to leave lot 6 as what was former HOA lands, existing conditions, but on a much smaller basis. We are turning it, I mean, it's, you know, if I was Trump, it would be my big, beautiful site plan. And,
But then.
so,
But thankfully you're not.
but I'm not. And so this is what we're going to run by the planning board. At Sean's suggestion, I am gonna run it by the Village of Walton Code Enforcement Officer. I got sidetracked on some other stuff, so I haven't sent it to him yet. But
That leaves us being responsible for the driveway.
what's that?
That leaves us being responsible for the driveway.
Maybe we can put a plow on our new.
So that is debatable. I haven't found anything in code that requires responsibility related to a driveway. They could say we're responsible for lawn maintenance. But there is nothing about being responsible for the upkeep of a private drive if there is nothing in a deed that puts that responsibility onto somebody.
And
That's my legal
That makes sense.
explanation.
And you don't have to maintain the personal driveway.
Right,
No matter.
we have to give them access to use it, but we are not required to maintain.
And isn't it nominal title only? Or is it gonna be actual
It's for who?
on lot 6?
Lot 6, that is an actual lot. So lot 6 actually, as it currently stands, includes every blank space in and amongst these 63 or 62 other parcels.
Right, so they all agree that lot 6 was used.
If they all agree, yes, over time, lot 6 will disappear. But so that we're not held up with the development of lot 1, let the demise of lot 6 occur over time,
Right.
rather than it being a precondition.
And I think it will.
Because it's an existing condition and making it better. That's my argument. Sean disagrees, and he may want to counter, but, he's only here in advisory, role, not in any type of voting.
So what does the advisor think?
I serve as an advisor to the village planning board
Okay.
as well, so
We're,
for a long time to try and find a resolution to this. The board may support this concept or not, we don't know. The process that they're going through is a re-subdivision because it was platted as that condo development years ago. So that process is being reviewed as a major subdivision. And this proposal proposes the creation of some parcels that would be non-conforming as for the lot size, lot frontage, those sorts of things, area. The sketch, the plat that was presented to the board had just the condo, just the four.
The original one was the 4 lots, That was the original.
4 lots, as I, made into almost conforming, like improving on it, so you can't make it worse, but you can make it, you can get them closer to being conforming, and that is approval.
But what,
The board at that time, asked if they had approval from those owners.
And we only had 2 of the
And
4.
they didn't, so then the board asked that the code officer engage those individual owners and get them to either sign off saying they want it or sign off saying they don't want it. That got the applicant to where they are today in this quagmire, I guess I'll call it. So it remains to be seen how this is received by the board.
the question, once this is done, this is all done, I think it's all in.
There is no, yes, and that's another thing, and so he is not a street, the village is not interested in assuming it as a village street. Because it doesn't, well, for one, it doesn't
Right.
already connect to the network of village streets, because the entire parcel is accessed on a deeded access. So that's gonna, I suspect that's gonna be the issue at the board, and the discussions that they're gonna wanna have is who's gonna take care of this, and who's gonna, is there gonna be deeded in language in the deed to allow for the perpetual access and maintenance of the.
Perpetual access, but
road.
not maintenance.
Right, but,
And that's,
yeah, but the question is, can we legally make a landlocked lot?
We already have. It's been in place like this since 2005. That's our whole argument, is we're trying to take a crappy situation and make it better.
learning the lines, definitely,
Okay.
but villages. So.
We're gonna talk blurry.
That was the, I would say.
Alright, so that's where we are with Sheffield State.
What about clearing of the lot?
We can't do anything until we get approval. So that's why instead of waiting for 6 months for the owner of lot 1 to decide what he wants to do, I want to throw this out as an interim step so we can begin. So we can begin with creating the shovel-ready lot and clearing it. And we got the idea, I did receive a email, a communication from the village mayor saying that their school's out and they have concerns about the basements or the foundations. And I'm like, this is where we are and we're stuck. If you can give me authority that allows me to begin the process of clearing that property and taking those foundations out, which is what our plan is, give it to me and we'll start tomorrow.
He's a new mayor, and he's very eager to.
No, and he's a good guy. He's on board with what we're proposing. But he's getting complaints, oh, what about the foundation? And I can't touch them. That's disturbing ground, until we have our permits in place.
Okay.
Who's on for it? Yeah,
Thank you for that short.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
it's awesome. It's awesome how long things take. in this.
They're going to hear 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, no,
right
we're
on schedule,
gonna-
right on schedule.
Sales contracts, 135 Delaware Avenue. We agreed to terms of a contract by their attorney. I have not heard from Charlie, and I should use his name, from the proposed purchaser of the lot. in several weeks now. Like his attorney did approve the form of the contract. So we're just waiting on them. You know, there is some rumors that it may or may not happen.
So what is there a confidence level or there is none at this point?
No, I think.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
So 12 Winkler Road, that is, we currently have a lease to own arrangement with them. We talked about this back in January or February. About him, the lease to own is coming to its term. It's got a prescribed buyout amount.
Yep.
And selling him the property and holding paper on the remainder, and it actually gets us paid out quicker that way. We're waiting on his attorney to approve the actual sales contract. And then Tiberio Custom Meats, I'm gonna turn over to Lindsay for a quick update.
Okay, so I had a discussion with Adam yesterday and today. He just sent me some emails. He is in discussion and was presented to by ARCO, which is the leading design build firm, in New York State. And so they have done plenty of projects in the meat and poultry, expansion realm. Just for reference, some of the ones, if you want to look at, are MTC Logistics and Performance Food Group. Those are two buildings that ARCO has fully designed. And so that's kind of what he's working off of. Right now, there was some issues with the general contractor. He is working on getting a new contractor. By the end of the summer, he should obtain one, and then the plan is to be open by November of 26. So the building's fully designed. You know, once he receives confirmation on a contractor, we should be good to go. And yeah.
So on our end, we're just hurry up and wait. We're just waiting.
Still hurry up and wait.
Okay.
Yeah, but he has to start from square one with us, right? He has to submit all new paperwork, all new.
It's up to us.
We should.
Probably should.
How many years ago was our approval?
2 years, 2 years, 3.
Oh,
So Intro de Aqua was last June, I believe.
yeah, but everything he provided to us is outdated.
Correct.
Price, cost, everything.
Yeah, that was 23, but
Was it?
I think that I did that as my first project.
Just. Approval is.
Oh, his site plan approval, but when we started the pilot,
Oh, that was last year.
yeah, that was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't purchased. Wow.
No, he
He
hasn't,
hasn't done anything.
he hasn't done anything. That's
So,
correct. It's,
In fairness
It's
to
their
us, he's gotta start.
So we've authorized the pilot.
we
We've received the.
received the pilot agreement and we held the public hearing.
Yes.
And I believe we did approve it. Yes, we did approve it. And we are waiting on him to just.
So is
move
there,
forward with
are there timelines in the pilot as to when?
There's nothing hard and fast, but there is, you know, after a certain time it is dated, and I'm sure by now it is. You know, it's between 12 months and 18 months.
How can we say we approved it when he doesn't own the land? But we approve something on something he doesn't own.
Yeah, but
We continue to find.
Yeah,
but-
We had.
How long is the contract?
I think that's the point. Are we at a point where we say, we gotta start over at the risk of?
I think so.
And maybe we don't change the sale price, but we gotta look at what's the cost of the building and,
Yeah.
you know, what's your budget on this thing? Labor costs aren't the same. We know construction's not the same. And if he's going with this entity, it's like the top shelf one in the area or in the state, so it's not gonna be cheaper.
Right.
And, yeah, but
All new budgets, how much is he kicking in for his own cash? It's a do-over.
so we held the public hearing in 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was 2.
Yeah, it was.
so,
That was my first public hearing that Glenn sent me to by myself, and I sat there and went like this. I
And you-
read every single word off the paper.
And you-
Joe
And we'll do that again today.
Yeah, and we formally approved it in July of 23.
Yeah, so I mean,
It's,
it's 2 years.
2 years.
We need to, I think
Yeah,
Scott's right.
we have to
Reset.
go through the process again.
Right.
Yeah, submit a new application, updated financials, updated.
Can you rescind the pilot?
costs.
How does that work?
I mean, I would think the time has just.
Exactly.
Just by itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wasn't activated.
yeah.
He does have to repeat the
How
process.
many years ago
for
did we
the
start
town.
flirting
For
From
planning.
your standpoint,
2016.
He could have gotten an extension
So it's only been 9 years.
on the approval, but he didn't.
Right,
You and I were wrong on that.
Do we need a vote?
It's 9 years that we've been flirting with this guy.
The thing is, we need it. I mean, I still talk to people. who-
We still need it.
We definitely.
Need it more now than we did then.
Yeah, I mean, you need it.
Definitely.
There's more producers, there's.
And what's,
Is it ever gonna?
So, here's
He
what I
retires before he gets his start.
I will check with council whether we have to start everything over again, or we just ask for an updated application to make sure our approval still stands.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he has to start all over with the village planning board. Or town planning board, because he never asked for an extension. But think the whole process has to start. So what happens if the village puts different requirements on it, and or if it's a town or?
It's the town.
Right,
It's
you said Joe.
just outside the village boundary.
Septic system or sewer system.
It was up to the village.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through water and sewer and the sewer, and there was adequate capacity, but again, it was 2 years ago. I don't think it's really changed, but DVH just approved an $80 million project.
which is a
There could.
huge load.
I don't know, it needs to be looked at, it needs to go through that process again. I'm sure it'll be
Right,
fine.
oh,
and they're gonna do the thing, but-
You've already done it.
All right, so what is our plan of action?
So I will seek guidance from our attorney
Okay, perfect.
and report back in July.
Okay, I'm good.
Hancock, Fast New York.
Hancock Fest, New York, so I have to reach out to the property owners to get their permission for us to have an appraisal done on their property. That's where I'm stuck.
we did-
And honestly, I've spent an hour on this since our last meeting.
But we did achieve the 40-acre minimum, right, that we were looking to achieve? We needed one more
Yes.
parcel, right?
Yes, we need this one parcel that is only out there for $3 to $4 million.
That's
So,
it.
just $3 to $4 million for a property that's worth not that.
A little less.
Yes. So, yes, so that's where we are. I finally got direct contact information for one of the property owners. For the other one, I can use the realtor. So I'm good to make that contact and say, yeah, I understand what your price is. I need an appraisal on the property. Let's see what that says.
Your assumption will be slightly less.
Yes, yes.
And so when it comes in slightly less, conversation's gonna die, and then does this thing die?
Yes.
So how much do we wanna spend on this break?
I understand your thoughts.
Okay, you can move on, you go to something.
That's why I haven't necessarily been rushing forward.
Okay.
Okay, CFA grants, just where we are currently, we talked about this last month, we are gonna submit a micro enterprise program grant application through the county, which would be administered through the LDC. We're through we got preliminary approval, county's holding public hearing, we will be submitting that. Lynn, so I sent out an FYI to one of the businesses in our area that is rapidly growing and got their fingers in a lot of things, letting them know, hey, this is the season, this is the program, we can write, what we'll provide, everything like that. I sent it to this one individual. Lindsay and I are meeting on Monday morning. We're going to go through a list of, so this one program, it requires a minimum project size of $500,000. And It's not a freebie type program, it's 20% grant. So we want to be careful about who we broadcast it to, because we don't want to spend, we've got these applications, we don't want to spend 8 weeks proving to idiots that, yes, your idea no way qualifies. And nobody's gonna give you 98% grant financing, for your cookie factory. So, sorry, Lindsay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's
That
hurtful,
was
but it's
my
fine.
snarky, that was my snarky comment.
Yeah.
Hurtful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've wasted so much time on trying to figure out whether mine is or not, and it's like, no. You can't sit down and read the blurbs, then no, it's not applicable, and we're gonna move on.
Yeah, so we're going to create a short list. It'll probably be no more than 3 or 4 or 5, and just be like, yes or no. Yep. And then so otherwise, so we'll do that assessment. That'll be direct for business. And then Sophie is taking the lead with Lindsay and my support on one for a trails program. And you want to explain? Oh, I said I would do that, and you would pick in if you had other things to
Yeah,
add.
I mean, we're just looking at applying for the recreational trails program to federally funded. The idea is to select a few representational trails, all throughout the county, like all different parts. Gonna do trail maintenance support hopefully, and then also go after some funding for a full, trail assessment database that we're hoping to build, which will help us build more opportunities and continue to support trails as we're working on it.
Yeah, so as we're coming out with our recreational act, we've discovered some of the trails that we're promoting aren't in the greatest shape. They've got trees down there, they've got lack of signage. So we've picked 5, or we've picked 4, we're looking for our 5th. And those are gonna be our pilot program. We're gonna establish
the ones you picked were based on usage or location.
popularity, usage, and location. We want something through one in each location throughout the county,
Yeah.
so it's not like, oh, you're posting.
You want some ones.
Yes, and, so then we'll have a pilot program where we'll put a crew together, hopefully with some support from SUNY Delhi's recreational program, while the professor's son is still working for us, and,
No pressure.
and set it up as a maintenance program. We're gonna hit every single trail, throughout the county, make sure they're what you would expect when you go on a trail. This on pilot program with 5, and then this grant application is incredibly precise regarding the information you need. But it does allow for an assessment of the condition of the trails. So at the same time we do this pilot program to start implementing something, we want to do assessment on all the trails throughout the entire county. And then, after this pilot is done and after the assessment is done, we'll be able to go for a larger pool of money to have a program that could last up to 5 years long. And we feel that by that point, we would be able to hit every single trail and get them up to market rate trail quality.
And that whole piece will plug into, we've talked about trail linkages and parking lots and villages and towns, and hopefully that can help spur other grant programs and projects in terms of just like, I don't wanna call them tourism related businesses, but that's what they are, like bike shops, additional restaurants, coffee shops, supply stores, just like outfitters.
Yeah.
More of that kind of thing. Connected with this gentleman, David Caller, he's with the Progress Fund out of Pennsylvania. And he's told me, he's like, economic development is the way to go in terms of developing your trails, but start with maintenance, it's a good idea, and then come at it from the other side, it's just like.
Yeah, so basically, we had a meeting yesterday and Soph said it best, or maybe it was the day before. Basically, if we're doing this is gonna be like a 10-year long program of everything we want to achieve. Getting our trails up and running, we were hitting the marketing of it with our apps, getting this development program, and then doing the facility type projects that we need, and then the tie-ins with the villages. This is gonna be, trying to set up some long-term vision here regarding outdoor recreation.
Does it include state trails?
Yeah, but I think what we're gonna focus on is DEP owned parcels, they're just, I don't want, not bashing the state, but their DEP is just a bit more responsive. Faster on their feet, so.
You ever heard such a thing?
Relatively.
So.
Listen,
Right,
well, that's
so,
good.
yeah, I state
What kind
parcels
of
and
funding
trails will be on
available?
the list.
So we're working on our budget, so the max is 300,000.
300.
So we figure, you know, if, not this one's gonna be smaller, we haven't worked out the budget yet, it'll be 30, 40. Probably. Then we would come back 300,000, yeah, that's gonna buy us, you know, somewhere between 3 to 5 years of implementation of our trail program. And with that, you can also create new trails or, yeah, I mean, so it's pretty expensive. And, yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so minimum is 25, maximum is 300. They only offer it every 2 years. So this gives us 2 years to get some funding, implement it, work the bugs out, do an assessment on the entire county, and then hit them for the real money 2 years from now.
Do the dollars have to be used by a certain time?
Within 5 years.
Within 5
Within
years.
5.
Yeah, so it's fairly flexible. That's why I'm saying we can have a multi-year
That sounds great.
maintenance thing. Yeah.
Gives you a lot of flexibility.
So
Yeah.
just a couple of things on it. One is, I know that Four Towns Forward has been working on, creating a group for ATV trails and, membership. So I can get you contact.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mentioned before, but how does our database compare with all trails or what's one of the,
We're still working on that.
So from what I've learned in reading all of the, the federal, state, the regional and the county comprehensive plan, a database for maintenance does not exist. For me. So it's just like the condition of the actual condition of the trails, who is responsible for maintenance, who owns the parcel and or parcels. And then how, and just that coordination there's several groups involved and they don't always all speak to each other. And what they've told me also is that the majority of everything is volunteer for the most part.
right?
And all of their volunteers are agent council.
It's crowd out.
Right, it is, yeah. So I mean, that would, you know, you get pictures, but from 2023, not exactly relevant for, you know, getting that, but it's helpful information. We have pulled for our outdoor rec app, some information from there, but,
Yeah, and just one thing I want to be, but we're not looking to take over anybody's trails. This is just a service we would be providing. So Catskill Mountain Trails or Catskill Mountain.
yep, clubs.
Club, they would still be their trails. We would just be providing a service to help them maintain it. You know, we're not taking over anything. We're not.
Will that
Yeah.
require some kind of a?
We'd have to have some type of contractual relationship, yeah.
So that's 2 companies to go, folks. We're right on schedule. Thank you.
Okay, 2 quick things before I'm done with the idea.
Yep.
So, they're both bad news. So the AC unit in our 8 Winkler Road building crapped out. So we had to replace it. That the work's done. I don't have the bill yet, but it's like $1,000. Then the other thing, unknown price tag, is as part of the Amphenol project, we had to do a stream bank restoration project over in the hamlet of Sydney Center. The torrential rains we had Sunday morning or Monday morning, whenever that was,
Sunday morning.
caused substantial damage to that stream. Soil and Water is going to do a assessment of the stream and what needs to be done to repair it. So Soil and Water, DPW, and the IDA are technically all the responsible parties. Soil and Water designed it, DPW built it, the IDA owns it. So that's gonna be something to,
Not the deal.
we'll just have to deal with. But Soil and Water is gonna go out and do an initial assessment of the stream conditions, and it's gonna need work. So,
Okay. And on that good news.
yes.
Motion to adjourn.
So, I'll move it.
Sorry, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're on to the Delaware County Capital Resource Corporation.
Yes.
Glenn, let's talk capital resource.
Okay, so at our last meeting, we petitioned the Delaware County Board of Supervisors to allow for the creation of the Delaware County Capital Resource Corporation. That resolution was approved, the resolution authorizing us to form the corporation was approved by the county on Wednesday. We filed our incorporation documents yesterday. We just received the receipt of acceptance from Department of State. So we now are an officially incorporated corporation, Delaware County Capital Resource Corporation. And we do have a couple preliminary orders of business. In your packet was a resolution adopting the bylaws of the Capital Resource Corporation.
Well, I'll move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then also in the packet was our base packet within a housekeeping resolution to adopt, all of our required policies for the corporation.
Bruce has made a motion, second. Chris?
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Man, you're getting us right back on track there.
I'm trying, yeah. Okay, so in addition to that business, the Capital Resource Corporation received an application for tax exempt bond financing from Delaware Valley Hospital. So they are looking to undertake a $80 million, so they gave a presentation to the Board of Supervisors on Wednesday. They are seeking to undertake a $80 million project to create a new facility of roughly 113 to 120,000 square feet over 4 floors. Basically creating a modern healthcare facility. They will be chipping in 20 million of their own equity. Delaware Valley Hospital will, and then they are looking to utilize $60 million of tax exempt bonds to be issued through the Capital Resource Corporation to finance the rest of the project. Bank of America is already on board to purchase it. The UHS system is also providing a backstop to the bonds, which is why Bank of America is already on board. Everything's set and ready to go. So
The motion to accept the bond application.
yep, so there's a resolution there to accept the bond application. Our attorney has reviewed it, said it is eligible for this financing. So we'd have a resolution to accept the application and to schedule a public hearing.
Second to Bruce's motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, so then moving forward, what will happen is I plan to schedule a public hearing the week of July 14th. On July 23rd, we will be back before the County Board of Supervisors with a resolution of them authorizing the issuance of tax exempt bonds by the Delaware County Capital Resource Corporation. And then on Friday, July 25th, this board of the Capital Resource Corporation would be able to act upon a resolution authorizing the formally approving the bond issuance. And so that would be the schedule moving forward and why we will have a meeting in July.
That will not be at.
Neither do I.
Right. We gotta talk about that. I'll be in Utah, someplace, you know, like this.
So,
I'll be on a river in Idaho.
so we may have to change the date of the meeting.
I don't think we can, I mean,
We can't do it before the 23rd.
Okay,
We'll just have to make sure that all 4 members are gonna be available. Or we'll need 4 of the 5 remaining members to be available.
how many board members do we have?
It's the IDA board, same board as the IDA board,
That's what.
7. So 2 will be gone, so we've got to get 4 out of the remaining 5.
That should be good.
On their phone.
Yeah.
I've got no cell service, but
They have sat out of the
that's
phones, yes, that.
Yeah, so we got Chris, will you be around?
oh, yeah.
Will you be around, Noel?
I think so, yeah.
The 25th, so we just need one of Mike or Florida. Florida, will you be around that Friday?
What
July.
date, what date again, the
25th?
Yep.
Okay, so we should be fine.
We're good.
Yeah.
If I can zoom in, I'll be in.
Okay.
So, I'll try.
Yeah, Elon Musk's Starlink thing, you can do that.
Yeah. Okay.
products.
So that's all the business.
Well,
Oh,
do you wanna talk to the negotiations we had,
oh, yes.
Wednesday?
So,
Let's just get through that part.
yes. So, our. How do I wanna say this? Okay. So per IDA bond fee schedule, we charge 1% for, we charge an administrative fee of 1% of bond issuance. So Wayne and I had a discussion with, and that's a little steep. I did do some research. That's a little steep. There is a bifurcated process. And within the housekeeping resolution that we approved, there is a fee schedule in there that corresponds with what Wayne and I discussed with Delaware Valley Hospital. And so what we discussed was, because of the importance of it and in keeping with other bond fee schedules, so we will remain with a 1% bond fee, administrative fee, for the first 20 million of bond issuance. After 20 million, we will charge an administrative fee of half of 1%. So our administrative fee for this project would be $400,000. We had come to an agreement on payment of that fee with DVH, whereby they would pay 50% of that fee down, and then they would make 3 annual payments after that to fully satisfy our administrative fee. So it'd be 200,000, 75, 75, 50. And that would satisfy our fee. And the rationale behind it is because, as Scott was joking around with, you know, when we were talking about the website and everything like that, the Capital Resource Corporation needs to comply with it's a public authority, needs to comply with all those reporting requirements. In discussions with Wayne, I ballparked it maybe high, but I think rationally so, at probably $5,000 a year worth of time regarding, we will need an independent audit. We do have all our budget reporting, our annual compliance reporting, and our annual financial reporting for that. That's staff time and effort you know, this corporation has to be run exactly the same way as the IDA and the LDC, and we're gonna incur inspection. So I had figured that over the 30-year life of the bond, you know, $210,000 is what it's likely to cost us to operate the Capital Resource Corporation.
Is there an escalating fee or escalating? On that?
Yeah, so, getting to that, so we did this and we had our negotiations with DVH and we came to an agreement. But then, and what we had in the policy here is we're gonna stick with that administrative fee policy, but what a lot of other CRCs do throughout the state is require an annual, compliance fee. So within the fee schedule for the CRC, it is 1% up to 20 million, 0.5% after that, and an annual compliance fee of $5,000. So
Documentation do they have to provide that proves they're in compliance with,
that's the audit stuff that we need to,
no, but we're gonna have to prove that they created the number of jobs that they
Yes.
said they were going to, and they owe us an annual reporting.
yes, yep. And that's something we're already working on as part of the comptroller's audit for the IDA. So we'll just adopt those same policies and procedures here, and yes.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna have staff have to review all that stuff, so we can cost.
Yeah, and that's, and so because we came to this agreement with DVH at 400, prior to me thinking that all the way through, I embedded it in there. But this Capital Resource Corporation is not a single purpose. It's not solely for DVH.
Right.
This now gives us the ability to fund other nonprofit entities throughout the county. And as I mentioned to Wayne and at the board meeting on Wednesday, our participation in this project is gonna save DVH $20 to $30 million in interest costs over the life of the bonds. So if other nonprofits in the area pay attention and get wind of that, oh, we could save that much money, you know, because in the past, there's been a stigma that there's fees attached with bonds, and so you don't really want to do it. Yes, there are fees attached with them, but the long-term savings is huge. And so with this corporation and with this project, if we move forward with this project and it goes to completion, then we have a story to tell other nonprofits with, hey, this is a benefit to you, and, yeah.
And it gives us a lot more capability to.
Right, yeah, it's fantastic.
And they're helping us to fund that, which is a nice, easy way to go.
Yes.
You want to mention the bond rediscussion?
Oh, yes, so there is another discussion, that is going to happen. UHS is interested in using a firm for bond counsel that they've used before. Catton, I forget their full name, Catton, blah, 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 3 names, you know how law firms are. And, so we use Hodge and Russ as our bond counsel. They were asking if we would only use them for our internal counsel and allow Catton to be our bond counsel. Well, no, that's just not the way these things are done. So we have expressed to them that it is our strong preference that Hodge and Russ be the bond counsel. And there is a meeting, so we talked about it when we had the negotiation on the fee, and we are moving forward with a meeting to be scheduled next week. I can't find the time of it off the top of my head, but we are gonna have representatives from DVH, myself, or the CRC, their financial company, and Hudson Rush, and we're gonna sit down and work this out. So that's yet to be decided, but yeah.
I have a suggestion for here, why don't we just.
So we'll figure it out. So that's all I have for the CRC, if we wanted to.
Okay,
Any,
I motion to adjourn the
Oh.
CRC meeting.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, LDC, what's remaining for the LDC discussion?
No, so, you approve of the minutes,
Motion to approve the minutes, thank you,
so moved.
for May,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We went through most of the treasurer's report, anything else there, Glenn, that we want to discuss?
Were there any comments on the annual audit? For the LDC?
Yeah, same comment that for the IDA. Compliments to the staff on the job they've done in cleaning the audit. It was great.
Yeah, they didn't hit us on anything in that one, not even being late, even though we were late with the other one too, because
Never their fault.
Of course.
All the closures that are in there, it's never their fault on any,
yes,
even a typo in their fault.
it's my fault for not checking it, yes.
Or- So I guess we need to approve the treasurer's report and annual audit and the deposits and invoices for the LDC.
Looking for a motion.
As one motion.
All is one.
I will make the motion that we approve the treasurer's report, the loan report, and the annual audit deposits and invoices.
So
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need to go into an executive?
Yes, we
session?
should go into
So I
it.
would take an executive session motion.
I feel like making that motion.
You'll make a motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Other old or new business? Anyone?
I would just like to state that Soph and I, sat through the, Notary Public Academy, so we're hoping by the end of the year that we will become notarized.
Your boy, you wait for us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for that.
very
And
good.
then they will provide notary services to anybody for $10 per signature.
$2,
What is it?
$2.
$2.
25 for me. Screw you.
And, but you won't be notarized in any of the IDA paper for LDC.
No,
Right.
conflicts.
All right.
So I just want to bring this up, the votes we just took on the resolutions were supposed to be roll call, if everybody's comfortable.
Oh, sorry.
Were
they? Oh, yes, they are
So
on, here, yes.
if everybody's comfortable with how we voted, I'm fine, but it might behoove us to go back and do roll call votes on this.
They were all, everybody was in favor.
Yes,
Just say
yes.
all ayes.
I'm okay with it, I just want to make sure,
I'm okay.
walking out of here,
That's
everybody said, agrees that it was a roll call vote, because that's a legal requirement.
Yeah.
Okay, are you okay, Chris?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Anything else?
Do we have to,
We're gonna sit here for 5 minutes unless there's something else.
Motion to adjourn.
no,
Wait.
do we have to make a
Loan app.
decision of what happened in executive session that we're gonna request?
Yeah.
I don't think so, I think
We
we
have
just
to-
have to
yeah.
request the information. No
Okay.
motion,
All right,
no-
that's all we got.
Yeah, there's no motion.
No,
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
looking for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.